Looks like I'm live. Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for December 14th. December 14th is the 348th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 349th in leap years, with 17 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is regent. Regent is a noun that means a person appointed to govern a state for the time being because the monarch is a minor, absent, abdicated the throne, is incapacitated or dead, or unable to discharge the powers and duties of the monarchy. The word regent comes to us from a Latin word that means ruling or governing. I'd like to take a moment to mention that links to my research are included in the show notes. I ask you to go ahead and click that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and feel free to share this video with others. You can do that with the link in your email, messaging, or social media. And there's a link to my This Day in History playlist in the show notes, and I'll make sure to get one up in the iCards once the live is done and we go to publish. And with that, we're going to start in the year 557, when Constantinople was severely damaged by an earthquake on December 14th. On December 14th, 1542, Princess Mary Stuart became Queen of Scots at the age of 1 week when her father James V of Scotland died. Of course, a 1-week-old baby cannot lead or rule over a country. 1-week-old baby can't even feed themselves. So Scotland was ruled by regents until she was old enough to take over. She actually spent most of her childhood in France, went to France to be raised, and returned to Scotland in 1561 when she was about 19 years old. This is the birthday of Danish astronomer Tycho Brahe, born December 14th, 1546. Thank you, Annie. Annie, thank you. That's fine. Good job. That's enough. She's looking at me like, what? Tycho Brahe lived to the age of 54. One of the founding fathers of the United States, Alexander Hamilton, got married on December 14th, 1780. Hamilton, whose portrait you can find on a $10 bill, married Elizabeth Schuyler at the Schuyler Mansion in Albany, New York. The French invasion of Russia came to an end on December 14th, 1812, as the last of the Grand Army was expelled from Russia. Alabama became the 22nd U.S. state on December 14th, 1819. On December 14th, 1900, Max Planck presented a theoretical derivation of his black body radiation law. That's all way up here. Important, but I don't understand it. But I'm telling you about it. Maybe you understand it. On December 14th, 1902, the Commercial Pacific Cable Company laid the first Pacific telegraph cable from San Francisco to Honolulu. Cables was how they communicated around the world before we got satellite transmissions and internet. The Wright Brothers made their first attempt to fly with the Wright Flyer at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, on December 14th, 1903. Roald Amundson's team, consisting of himself and 4 others, became the first to reach the South Pole on December 14th, 1911. This is probably a good time to remember that winter in the Northern Hemisphere is summer in the Southern Hemisphere. I, caught myself thinking, but December, why? But no, it's summer down there. On December 14th, 1918, the United Kingdom held a general election where women were first allowed to vote. This is the birthday of a man named Don Hewitt, born December 14th, 1922. He was a journalist and producer and created the TV show 60 Minutes. He lived to the age of 86. This is the birthday of actress Remick, born December 14th, 1935. She acted in stage plays, movies, and TV shows and lived to the age of 55. Plutonium, in the form of Pu-238, was first isolated at Berkeley, California on December 14th, 1940. They probably don't call it Pu-238. They probably call it plutonium-238. But it was first isolated in Berkeley, California on this date in 1940. The first interactive electronic game was invented in the 1940s. No kidding. Thomas T. Goldsmith Jr. and Ethel Ray Mann were granted a patent on December 14th, 1948 for their cathode ray amusement device, the earliest known interactive electronic game. They applied for and got that patent, but they never manufactured the device or marketed it to the public, so it had no impact on the future game industry, the future video game industry. And there are several arguments as to why that's not really a video game. It wasn't complete unto itself. You had to add parts in order to use it. But I think it's a precursor to today's video games for sure. NASA's Mariner 2 became the first spacecraft to fly by Venus on December 14th, 1962. On December 14th, 1985, Wilma Mankiller took office as principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, the first woman to do so, and I remember that. And that's all I have for you today. I hope you learned something you didn't know before. As always, links to my research are included in the show notes. Remember that the playlist for this day in history, my playlist for this day in history, is in the show notes, and I'll put a link in the iCards. And be sure and give it a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.